The air in the courtroom felt heavy, thick with the heat of Lagos and everyone's unspoken thoughts. All eyes were on Jane, who sat bravely in the accused box. Her blue scarf didn't hide the sharp, sad look on her face. She was accused of murder. The victim was her husband, Emmanuel, a man known for his loud laugh and even louder opinions. People whispered about why she did it, finding it hard to believe. A Facebook post. Welcome to today's episode on Twisted Love Files. It all started simply, as many bad things do. It was a Tuesday evening. The smell of jollof rice filled their apartment in Ikoyi. Emmanuel was on the sofa, scrolling on his phone, making happy sounds now and then. Jane was reading a book, the gentle click of her knitting needles making a familiar sound. Suddenly, Emmanuel chuckled loudly. "Can you believe this foolishness, Jane?" he asked without looking up. Jane sighed, a hint of warning in her voice. "What is it now, Emmanuel?" She knew his online habits. He loved to share his opinions and quickly judge others. His fingers, rough from years of office work and golf, danced across the screen. "This woman, she's complaining her husband doesn't spend enough on her. Says he's mean, a failure. Honestly, some women are just, they feel like they deserve everything." He huffed, his lips tight. Jane felt a familiar annoyance. Emmanuel often made broad statements about women, often hinting at her own spending habits. Their money was always a small, constant fight. He was too careful with money, she thought, while he saw her love for nice things as too much. "Maybe she has a point, Emmanuel," Jane said, her voice calm. "Some men are stingy. They earn well but expect their wives to live like poor people." Emmanuel finally looked up, his eyes narrowing. "Oh, so now you're taking her side? Is that what this is about, Jane? My money? Do you think I don't provide enough?" The talk went bad quickly, as it always did, moving from a general idea to a personal attack. This time, though, Emmanuel went further. He typed quickly, his forehead wrinkled, a smug smile on his face. "Just posted something small. To make things clear," he announced, holding up his phone. The post said, "Women who complain about their husband's money problems in public often cause their own sadness. A good woman builds her home. She doesn't show its problems to everyone. Hashtag respect your husband, hashtag private matters." Jane stared at the words, a cold, sinking feeling in her stomach. It wasn't just what it said. It was the timing. It felt like a direct answer to their argument, a public statement of how he thought about marriage, aimed right at her. Her hands shook, her knitting needles silent. "Emmanuel," she said, her voice almost a whisper. "Take that down. Now." He laughed, a loud, dismissing sound. "Why? It's true. And it's not about you, Jane. Don't be so sensitive." But it was about her. It felt like a betrayal, a public shame dressed up as a general thought. She spent the rest of the evening fuming, the words burning in her mind. The Facebook post became a constant pain. Jane found herself checking it all the time. Comments flooded in, some agreeing with Emmanuel, some against him. Friends, people she knew, even strangers, all talking about what felt like her private life. Every comment supporting Emmanuel felt like a personal insult. The next few days were tense. Emmanuel, either not caring or not knowing, continued his life as usual. Jane, meanwhile, felt a huge gap growing between them. She cooked, cleaned, went to work, but a silent scream echoed in her head. She saw his post everywhere, in the sad looks from friends, in the knowing smiles of his coworkers. The shame was crushing her. Their arguments, which used to be rare and quickly forgotten, became long and angry. Jane would bring up the post, her voice full of blame. Emmanuel would brush off her worries, calling her too dramatic or too emotional. One evening, after a particularly harsh fight, Jane went to her room. She scrolled through her own Facebook page, seeing the post again, its bold words a harsh reminder of her feeling of failure. Then, a comment from a woman named Tulu. "Emmanuel, you always have a good point. Some women just don't appreciate what they have." Jane knew Tulu from university. Tulu had always seemed to be drawn to Emmanuel even back then. A cold, Uncomfortable doubt started to grow in Jane's chest. Had Emmanuel been talking about their private life with Talou? Was this post a secret message? Her mind, already worn out from stress, started to imagine a story of cheating and betrayal. The night Emmanuel died was, at first, nothing special. It was a Friday. He came home late from a business meeting, smelling a bit of whiskey and a different, sweeter perfume than his usual scent. Jane confronted him, the Facebook post and Talou's comment spinning in her mind. "Where were you, Emmanuel?" she demanded, her voice tight with anger. "And who were you with?" He brushed her off, waving his hand as he usually did. "Clients, Jane. Just clients. Why are you always so suspicious?" "Suspicious?" Jane scoffed, a bitter laugh escaping her. "You post about me on Facebook, you're out to God knows where, smelling like God knows who, and you expect me not to be suspicious?" The argument quickly got worse. Cutting words flew between them. Emmanuel, made bolder by alcohol, finally broke. "You want to know, Jane? Fine. Yes, I was with Talou. And yes, she understands me better than you ever will. At least she doesn't spend all my money and then complain about it online." The words hit Jane like physical blows. The Facebook post, Talou's comment, Emmanuel's late nights, it all fit together with terrifying clarity. The betrayal, the public shame, the money issues, the cheating. It was a crushing realization. What happened next was blurry, a wild mix of anger and despair. Jane remembered seeing Emmanuel's hand raised, a dark shape against the dim light. She remembered the rush of adrenaline, the desperate need for it all to stop. Her hand closed around something heavy, cold. The bronze statue of a Benin queen, a wedding gift, its heavy base a familiar thing on the side table. She remembered the awful thud, the surprised look on Emmanuel's face as he fell, the sudden, frightening quiet that followed. The police investigation was fast. Jane's confession, a jumbled outpouring of sadness and anger, painted a clear picture. The Facebook post, the cheating, the argument, the fatal hit. The lawyer for the government, Barrister Mildred, built a strong case around it. But then came the twist. During the questioning, Jane's lawyer, a quiet but smart woman named Mrs. Laura, showed a new piece of evidence. A printout of Emmanuel's phone calls from the night he died. "Mr. Emmanuel made no calls to a Talou on the night he died," Mrs. Laura said, her voice calm and steady. "Nor did he receive any calls from that name. In fact, Mr. Emmanuel made only one call after leaving his business meeting. A call to his mother." The courtroom buzzed. Mildred objected, but the judge allowed the evidence. "And what about the sweet perfume, Mrs. Jane?" Mrs. Laura continued, turning to Jane. "Did you recognize it?" Jane, her voice empty, shook her head. "No, but it wasn't mine." "Could it have been the perfume of a client, perhaps?" Mrs. Laura pushed. "A female client, perhaps one who works late?" Jane hesitated, a flicker of doubt crossing her face. Then came the big shock. Mrs. Laura showed a series of text messages between Emmanuel and his mother, sent just hours before he died. They were full of worry. Emmanuel's mother had been sick, having a bad reaction to a new medicine. Emmanuel had been rushing to her side, bringing her emergency supplies from a pharmacy. He had been worried, stressed. And the business meeting? It ended early. He had left to check on his mother. The faint smell of perfume? It was from a new air freshener in his mother's apartment, an attempt to cover the strong smell of chemicals from her illness. The last text from Emmanuel to his mother, sent moments before he got home, read, "Almost there, Mama. Don't worry. This whole thing with Jane and her silly Facebook problem is driving me crazy. Can't believe she's still upset about it. I just want to forget it." The courtroom was silent. The cheating, the main reason for Jane's anger, was a made-up story, a desperate lie Emmanuel had told in a drunken fit of anger, fueled by Jane's accusations. He hadn't been with Talou. He had been with his sick mother. The Facebook post, while certainly not kind and poorly timed, was not about Jane. It was Emmanuel's general, often bad, opinion. The comment from Talou? Just a smart remark from an old friend, not proof of an affair. Jane's face showed growing horror. the betrayal she had felt, the shame, the anger that had taken over her. It was all built on a foundation of misunderstanding and a single drunken lie. Emmanuel, in his desperation to end the argument, had accidentally caused his own death. He had died, not because of another woman, but because he had lied to his wife, who was already full of hidden anger over a badly worded social media post. The judgment was manslaughter, not murder. The judge, seeing the complicated reasons and the deep emotional pain Jane had been under, gave a lighter sentence than many expected. Jane, released years later, was like a ghost of her old self. The blue scarf was still her favorite, but its bright color now seemed to stand out against the emptiness in her eyes. The Ikoyi apartment, once a home, was now a tomb of memories and regrets. She often sat, looking at her phone, at the empty Facebook page. The platform that had, in a strange, unintended way, caused her husband's death. The digital echo of a marriage, a public declaration of private anger, had grown into a tragedy too big to imagine. The story of Jane and Emmanuel became a warning whispered in Lagos, a strong reminder of how easily online life and human feelings can clash. It showed how quickly assumptions can get worse, how easily words can be misunderstood, and how a seemingly harmless Facebook post can, in the darkest of times, lead to murder. Jane had killed her husband not over an affair, but over a lie, a misunderstanding, and a Facebook post that, in the end, said much more about her own doubts and her husband's inability to talk clearly than it ever did about cheating. The real twist wasn't just that there was no other woman, but the terrifying realization that the weapon wasn't just the statue, but the silence, the assumptions, and the dangerous mix of unspoken problems that had built up between them, leading to a tragedy born from one desperate lie. What do you think about how social media can make misunderstandings in relationships much bigger? Drop your comments below. And thanks for watching.